I hope the guys from outside had a good night. Westlands is a center of activity at night. If you didn't manage, then just see me after this. Now I'll show you what Westlands is all about. So we are very happy to have a panel here. And I think, John, congratulations. These are teams that are very important for the petroleum value chain. I think with us here is John Wamanwa. John anasema ameniona, na mimi nasema pia nimemuona. We have met, and John, I sit in metering, and I think your team calibrates our meters, and gives certification. So before we take them to Kenya Power or even the water meters. So we have seen you in action. So we are very proud to have you here. So John, karibu sana, and maybe just tell us how you believe you are involved in the fuel, AfriFuel, the fuel and the fuel sector. What do you think your role is to play in this sector? Thank you. As you introduce and tell us what your department does.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. As I was introduced, my name is John Wamwana. I'm the Acting Director, Weights and Measures. Weights and Measures is a legal metrology authority of this country. Legal metrology. Metrology is a science of measurement. So legal metrology is the application of regulations to measurements so that they can be able to be useful to society. And so basically we're now talking about us as the regulators of the sectors that do measurement that affects society. Trade, health, public safety, law enforcement, environmental protection. So measurements in fuel is one of those many sectors that we regulate. And the purpose of the regulation is not so that people can get punished, but it is so that all of us can be able to have value for our exchange. One time I was talking to an elderly friend of mine. Then he was asking me that when you left your house, you locked it. I said yes. Then he's asked, why did you lock it? Is it because you thought an elephant will come in? Or is it because you thought a leopard will come in? I said no. He said yes. Mutu, you were worried that another person will come in when you have left. And now you can imagine when you say you have locked your house, but in that padlock behind it, somebody can come and open. So you put in the key and left, but behind here, somebody can just come and press a button and it opens, so then you can unlock. It means you are exposed and you don't know, isn't it? You left and went to work because your house is locked, but unfortunately it's not locked. In measurements that affect society, that is like the normal thing that happens. We meet on those measurements to be able to get something from it, and probably if somebody is not seeing, looking the other way, then I can help myself to more than what I was supposed to get. And that's why regulation comes in. That regulation assists the industry also to grow. Because if you keep making losses and you cannot place your finger on the losses, you cannot grow. We also say sometimes you have a measurement system that you are using, because you already are aware that thieves will come and steal things. So in your business, you always lock and go home. You come back and open. But the measurement system you have here is stealing from you. So you can imagine the pain of buying a nice padlock and locking a thief inside the house. Then you come and open every day. He steals, then you lock again and go. That is the danger and the tragedy that can happen with our measuring systems. So it's not necessarily that they have to be inaccurate per se. But if they have a window, somebody can talk to them and ask them to do something else other than what you had left them doing. It's a bigger disaster because when you come back, it will have gone back to where it was. So you can never level the loss to this instrument, because according to it, it's always right. If you call in somebody to test it, it's accurate. But somebody else talks to it, it becomes inaccurate for a while. So that is a disaster. And that's why we regulate those instruments and we talk about accuracy, repeatability, and fraud proof. That's the reason we insist that any instrument that is supposed to be brought into this country for use in measurements that affect society and trade per se must be approved. The approval is a scientific process of asking this instrument questions. How are you? Are you okay? Can you be accurate? Can you be accurate today and tomorrow? And are you able to stop somebody else from telling you to say something other than what you have been programmed to say? And are you able to tell on that person in case he does that? Those are the simple things that we will ask in the deeper science for the instrument before we say, now go out there and serve the people.
Okay. Good introduction. And I think measurement in the fuel sector, I think that's where the shilling, if you lose 50 cents per liter, you are cooked. So I think it's a very important place you are. And most of the businessmen here, they can tell you the headache in the petrol at forecourts as they try to implement measurement. And also, KRA can tell you one of their biggest challenges is measurements. I've worked in the beer sector, so I understand where you are coming from. Thank you. We'll continue with you, and I think we have our friend here from Can Invest. You were here yesterday, and I'm sure you went and reflected with what you saw out here. I'm sure you must have taken a walk around the exhibition. Just tell us, within the next 3-4 minutes, just tell us what message do you have of the gentlemen exhibitors who are there and who want to do business in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Allow me to introduce Kenya Investment Authority.
Yes,
Thank you.
please do. You have 4 minutes to do that, yeah.
Yeah, we are a government agency that is responsible for facilitating and promoting investments in the country. As I said yesterday, we are friends of investors. We are the voice of the private sector and government. And we do this through promotion and facilitation of investments. James, when I went around the exhibition yesterday, something struck me that we need to do more in terms of facilitating these investors. I can count like 3 of those investors have come to Can Invest. Only 3. So what we're trying to do right now is to make sure that we're able to identify and facilitate investors who are coming to this country so that they're able to get permit and licenses in a more efficient and effective way. You know, one of the challenges that we have in this country is actually not the number of permits and licenses. It's how to get those licenses. The bureaucracy, the uncertainty, the time we take in terms of getting the licenses. I'll give you an example, James. If you want to register a company and you want to come in to invest, you'll have to go to 316 Upper Hill. If you want a PIN, you have to go to KRA or apply online. If it's written measures, you have to go to industrial area. If you are looking for NEMA, you have to go. You know, there's a lot of movement that an investor has to make. So what we've done, James, is that we have established a one-stop center. That currently we have institutions that include BRS, Kenya Revenue Authority. We have an officer from KRA. We have an officer from Immigration, NEMA, Kenya Power, Council of Governors, and the Tourism Regulatory Authority. Now, in doing this, investors who are coming to us, they're able to get their permits and licenses within a maximum of 7 days. So we are trying to make it as easy and efficient as possible. Then also what we've done is we have digitalized our system. Now you don't have to move from one portal to another for you to acquire this permit. We have what we call the Kenya single window that you log in and apply for all those licenses without moving from one portal to another. And at the end of the system, you're able to get your license signed, stamped digitally. One of the things that also we're trying to cut in terms of bureaucracy is the time taken, efficiency, and effectiveness. And I think we are the only government institution currently, James, that we do not charge for our services. It's free. It's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. I can see Michael there, and Michael will tell you that when somebody goes to government and they're being told it's free, if you go to the director and say you don't have to pay for this service, they'll go and think it is substandard. It's government. But we're trying to tell our investors that government can also facilitate you efficiently for free. So we are engaging some of these investors. Come to us. We are going to work very closely with POK, very closely with the industry sectors. I mentioned that we are coming up with what we call a sectoral value chain. We've already completed the one for EV, and we're going to share with the stakeholders.
You have completed one for?
EV.
EV.
Yes,
Okay.
it's ready.
Okay.
We are going to share with the stakeholders.
Okay.
We want to work with the private sector to make sure that whether in this country they're making enough money so that she's able to collect taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll move back to you. Maybe you will tell us, who do you consider an investor? Yeah? Is it us or the guy from outside? Sawa? We'll come back to you. And also, Kenya Investment Authority is, when you hear the economy is growing, you are the one with the figures. Yeah, maybe you will inspire us with the figures also, right? When we come back. Karibu sana. I'm so happy to see KRA here. Yeah, and I think this is a new dispensation of your organization. I mean, sitting and mixing with your constituents. There was a time when you see KRA, you don't even go around. Even that book in the morning yesterday, niandike, utanifuata. But I think there's an effort to make KRA a very friendly organization, because I think even citizens believe the more you can collect, even from the people you have, the less people will be taxed, new people. So tell us something about the new kid on the block, the e-teams, and how is it facilitating business and the collaboration between you and this sector?
I understand there's someone who visited our booth. I don't know if it was you, Mr. Ngomeli, because that person asked, why are you here? We have the fuel sector here. Why is KRA here? And as you can see, I think it's the only booth apart from POAC which doesn't have equipment around it. So it's a valid question. And I would just say, for the ones who are visitors, KRA is the Kenya Revenue Authority, tasked with revenue administration in this country. I'm going to still ask myself, why are we here now? The team that is present at the booth is the team that is currently implementing the electronic tax invoicing system. We started this project, rolling out the project in 2021. And at that time, we started with VAT registered taxpayers, which most in the fuel sector are VAT registered taxpayers. But over time, from 2023, we expanded the rollout to taxpayers who are not registered for VAT, provided one has business income, and that is all of us. So we normally say, where there's business, we are there. Because when you're carrying out your business, you will need KRA, and that's why our booth is open for, if you want to inquire about return filing, electronic tax invoicing, tax amnesty, anything, you can ask your questions there. I'm still going to ask myself again, why are we here? Why are we really here? Yes, since we started the rollout of e-teams, we realized that as much as it also applies to players in the fuel sector, they had challenges in implementing the solutions that were available, despite the fact that we expanded the solutions to make sure that we have a solution that fits everyone, but the fuel sector had challenges with the solutions that were available, and that's why we had to do some bit of work once. We had to do our homework further to just really see what kind of solution fits an industry like this, where we are moving volumes, high traffic transactions, and we want efficiency for this sector, and we want to facilitate compliance. So yes, that's why we are here, because we are actually here and talk about it more to let us know what is it about the fuel sector solution that we are rolling out that is actually supposed to help this sector better comply with the requirements of e-teams. We know the players are compliant right now, but we are doing more to be able to help you with technology, because we are seeing, again, we are using a lot of technology to better comply through a solution that best fits this sector. It's a very specialized solution for this sector only. So I'm hoping through this panel I'll be able to talk about it. But maybe just allow me to mention that I'm privileged to be here, to be presenting on behalf of Kenya Revenue Authority. But I'm also privileged, or we are all privileged to have on board Mr. Andrew Momanyi. I'll just have you stand. He's actually the project manager for the fuel sector solution. Thank you.
Okay. Lesha, we're still holding the phone, we're still holding the mic. Maybe you can tell us about what has been the impact and the rollout of e-teams, and what do you see success in the fuel sector? What do you see success in the fuel sector in rollout of e-teams? Yeah.
So the impact of e-teams has been massive in our opinion, because we are a country which is, again, a big consumer of technology. The fact that we have availed the varied technology, various technologies for various sectors of our taxpayers, has enabled us now, for those who are fully automated, and most of the fuel sector, again, we have many who have fuel management systems, have been able to integrate their systems with e-teams as we speak, even before we start talking about the solution that we are currently rolling out, but some have been able to integrate. The ones who've not been able to, who have not had technology before. So we have a section of our taxpayers who are also playing within the fuel sector, who were not automated from the word go. They are very manual in their transactions, but by KRA taking the initiative to help taxpayers get to the point where they can use technology in their business, they're able to now have an electronic invoicing solution. They're able to maintain their inventory. They're able to maintain their records through a free solution that has been provided by the Revenue Authority. The impact of it is that we are also able to better manage our revenue, have better controls to minimize tax evasion, to have controls to be able to have more accurate tax declarations. As we speak, most of us might know, one of the promises that we had for the taxpayers is that once we get on board this automation, then we'll work at simplifying, making it easier to comply, ease of doing business, simplifying the tax filing processes. As we speak, the VAT return is auto-populated thanks to the implementation of e-teams, so that from the data we are receiving from the business partners, then we are able to use it to pre-populate the VAT return, make it easier. They don't spend so much time trying to put their transactions in place so that they can be able to file returns. For us, we get the data to be able to monitor compliance management, do our audits better, hopefully with mechanisms in place, because now we are getting to a critical mass of data. Then we see how this will also facilitate shortening the time that it takes for us to process refunds. The other thing that we see with this implementation is the opportunities that it presents for us. So that has actually been a big impact, because apart from using it for revenue administration, we see opportunities where we can integrate with other government bodies for purposes of actually having a centralized database that has transaction data that we would not have had in other scenarios. So the future is bright. The opportunities, they keep opening up as time goes by. In fact, because I was here yesterday and we were talking about it, that our focus has been on petroleum and how to have a fuel management, a fuel solution for petroleum. But we are talking about the booth opposite us has the gas technology, for example. We are talking about EV. And I was telling my colleagues, that's an area we actually have not talked about. Mm-hmm. And it's always a new opportunity. The industry, thankfully, is always ahead of us, but it's always an opportunity for KRA also to advance and pick up technology where there might be gaps and do better in revenue administration.
Okay. So what is the evidence of e-teams? Is it that ETR receipt you are given as a normal citizen now? Because, when I go to a petrol station, I don't get that receipt. I get livid. Yeah? So the evidence of e-team operational is that ETR receipt, right? And is it what we should demand at a petrol station? What's your take on that? What is the evidence of e-teams? Yeah. Bring.
So for an end consumer, the evidence is you getting that receipt, mm-hmm. Not only getting a receipt, but a receipt that has a QR code on it that mm-hmm. you can actually validate and confirm that the tax that has been deducted from you has actually been transmitted to the Revenue Authority. That's the evidence of a valid tax invoice, and you can also validate that from our portal. Now, for the fuel sector, while we implemented e-teams, and I don't know, how many of you have received an e-teams receipt at a petrol station? With your hand up. How many? Yeah. So for the rest of us, just look at the numbers. I think they're less than 10. Mm-hmm. So it shows the gap that we actually have. We'd like to attribute it to the inefficiency of the technology that was available to them, because they had to implement the existing solutions. That is, if you have a handheld device,
Yes.
if you have, we have a solution, a mobile app, for example, if that's what they are using to generate invoices.
Yes.
Just think about the petrol stations that normally have many vehicles going through.
Yes.
Some have challenges actually issuing those tax invoices. And that's why we have introduced the A-Teams fuel station solution, which actually integrates with the forecourt solution and basically the fuel management system of a particular outlet. The result of this is that anytime, you see, like when fuel is being dispensed, it's counting both volume and the value of the transaction.
Yes.
Anytime that that transaction ends by that, what do you call it, being replaced to the dispenser, then a receipt is generated automatically. So we have made it work like that, so that now we don't have that inefficiency of, it's a bit cumbersome. We have a lot of motorcycle or boda riders coming through that we are not able to generate tax invoices for them. So far, we have done a pilot for that solution, and we have about 35 retail outlets or petrol stations that are already using this along Gong Road. The petrol station, I'm not going to say which one it is, just right next to Adams Arcade, it's already using this solution.
Okay.
And if you need your invoice anytime, tax invoice, you will be able to get it from there. Going forward, since we've been having this conversation with the industry players since May 2024, we have given actually a timeline by June, end of June, 30th June 2025, we need to transition into the new solution that is more efficient, that will help the industry be more compliant to be able to use e-Teams as we speak. So the evidence, yes, is the tax invoice, but there's a lot more the industry needs to do to be able to actually comply fully.
Okay, so you have a solution.
Yes.
You have a solution and you want the industry to implement that solution.
Correct.
And the solution can integrate with all the softwares that these teams have here.
Yes, it's compatible with the software that is there.
Okay. Let me come to my friend of weights and measures. We have a big, this fuel sector. The challenge, you know, the biggest challenge is on measurement. Yeah? And how do you think technology can help that measurement? We still have, since 80s, we still have people still dipping those sticks inside there. Are those sticks part of things you verify? Or what do you think can help the sector? What do you think can help the sector? From where you sit, where you can see all kinds of measurements. And why do they still use a dipstick at this age and time?
Thank you. I think your question, for people to be able to get the answer,
Yes.
let's start somewhere.
Yes.
Let's look at the industry across the board. Because these, in some parts of this sector, what we are referring to as fuel, they refer to it as a molecule. And you see, that means that's how critical it is. And so when you talk about measurements, anything going, then they are really affected. And for us to be able to ensure that the trade along that chain, everybody is getting value for their money, then the accuracy must run across the entire sector. Because if we pass the baton to you with the defects, if you correct them, you are the one with the loss. So clandestinely, you start trying your own things, how to break even. So it must start from where we pick it up to the last point where it goes to the tank. And KRA are really eager to see that these measurements are correct, because a tax is about a quantity. So if you cannot place your finger on a quantity, then even the tax you get is also not what you deserve. And so we have about 4 tiers of measurement systems along this year chain. We get the fuel from the ship as it comes in with the people who are bringing in. So we pick it, give it to Kenya Pipeline, and then the other OMCs. There, something is happening. There is an exchange. So when there is an exchange, then the element of accuracy comes in. How much have you given me so that I can pay you this much? Or how much have you given me to transport for you so that when I get the other side, you'll ask me for that quantity. Okay? And so you start there. You require measurements at the port. And the measurements must be credible measurements. So these are measurements that must have been approved by the regulator for you to be able to use them. So when that happens, you, the person who is bringing the fuel, you know, I've actually been given this much value for my money. And as you take that quantity, KRA also knows now you have this much. My share in this is this much. So if this 500 ml, then we know I'm going to sell this 500 ml and KRA has this value in it. But if both of us are just trying to imagine that this could be 500 or 400, then that is how the tax would become disenfranchised because he has to do it on this. But then at that point we have meters which are supposed to pick the fuel. There are 2 elements to that. There is a meters, then you have storage tanks with the systems, what we call the gauging systems. Some of them would use the tapes, which you dip inside there, get it out. There are those that put automated systems, what we call the automatic tank gauging systems, that will be able to automatically read that quantity. But then, if that meter is not certified accurate and has not been certified that it will not listen to anybody for it to give a value, it will give a value, correct one, irrespective of who is around it, then there comes in the question of the doubt. Okay? And then, at the tank, this gauging system will only be as good as the calibration that went into the tank. Because that height, you'll determine that height accurately, but for the volume, you require another parameter called the cross-sectional area. So if you have not done proper calibration, then however much you automate this process, what it's reading may not be correct. Therefore, you actually now from there is the other point where when the OMC gets the fuel from KPC through the meter into storage tanks, then somebody will come to buy the fuel from the OMC. Using what? A truck. So therein there is a meter, and then there is a truck which has got either of these two, either a gauge, calibration, or a dipstick. If these meters at the depot are not certified, then it means, one, the accuracy may not be very okay, But the biggest danger is not that the accuracy will fix that, because it will continue telling you the same thing which is wrong, so you can come and fix it. The danger to it is that this equipment, if it's not certified as fit for custody, we say custody transfer, transfer of property in the goods from one person to the other. If it's not certified that it can be able to be accurate, repeatable, and fraud-proof, it means it's a walk-in, walk-out. So whoever comes can talk to it, and it gives you 1 liter when you ask for 1 liter. Another one comes and talks to it, it gives you half a liter when you ask for 1 liter, but indicates 1 liter. That's a tragedy of digital systems. It will indicate 1, okay, and give you half. Then from there, you have this truck that has to move this product to the forecourt. This truck needs to be calibrated. There are 2 forms, the gauge calibration and the dipstick. This country had only one mode of calibration for that sector. It was the gauge. The dipsticks were allowed for export to the other economies. And the reason we had that, and of course now we've realized now there's dipsticks which are moving locally. The reason we had that was because of the challenges that we saw with issue of safety. The gauge, you feel the entire measure. So it moves full. When you do deep and you have say a client who needs 2,000 liters of fuel, and that bulk measure is a 6,000 liter, you'll put in 2,000 and take to them. Those days, it was not a big thing, because the heads, the prime movers that are moving these products were going at 40 kilometers per hour, 60. Imeenda sana. These days, after the onset of the Actros and the others, these things can do 120, isn't it? Now you can imagine an Actros, 8,000 liters, 4 compartments, 8,000 each. That is 32, isn't it? 32,000 liters. Now it is half, 444, because this diesel, this super, this kerosene, 444. Then it's on the road at 120, because they want to get there in good time. Then there is a bend and some oncoming truck. This fuel, by the physics, it will continue going where the truck was going, but the truck has done a bend. What happens to it? The total mass of this fuel and the inertia will be more than what the prime mover can control. It rolls over. So that was one of the issues that were causing a lot of accidents on the road. And so we have not allowed the dipsticks yet. That was the reason it was not allowed. But now they are here. We are doing the law to be able to accommodate them and have a framework of how they'll be used. So as it is now, we have private calibrators who are doing the dipsticks, not the weights and measures. The weights and measures is doing the gauge.
Okay.
Now, when you move from that truck to the forecourt, you encounter another measure, the underground storage tank. This is usually the forgotten one in the chain. Somebody will go, pick it from somewhere, however calibrated, put it down here. It comes with a dipstick for it. Now, if this tank is not properly calibrated, you can imagine you have brought in fuel with the gauge calibrated properly. there will be a difference, isn't it? So then what do we say? Maybe the truck has stolen from me, but whatever is down here is where the problem is. Now, you want to reconcile your measurements. Your underground storage tank is not okay. The area which is most compliant is this dispensing pump, because it's verified by our officers in the field all the time, and the people who are selling them, there's a whole control system they know. So now you want to reconcile, this one is accurate, the other one is not. So along that chain, you realize that those losses you talk about are arising from these measurements that cannot speak to each other because there is no accuracy or repeatability or fraud-proof systems. We are saying that we started with KPC because we don't like people pointing fingers backwards. We said, let's start from KPC and sure things are okay. Then the OMC will know things are okay that side. Then they have to make their things work, because when you are using meters which are not approved, it means it's walk in, walk out. Whoever is operating them can come and adjust them. Okay? Then it will still read that quantity. By the way, who has ever seen the fuel get into their tank, the vehicle? When you are fueling on the forecourt, anybody who has ever seen their fuel literally get into their vehicle? You always look at the screen and you have faith in it. The people behind your faith are just representing them. If they are not there, whether it's half a liter, that thing will read. If it's been told, read 1 liter when you see half a liter, okay? Say yes. It will tell you 2 liters, and you have 1 liter inside, and you go. See, that's how you pay.
Okay. Now you understand the role of. And now it's a full agency now. I think at the time it was a department.
Oh, it is still a department.
It is a department.
Yes.
But its role now in the space. I can see you sitting in a dispute resolution. She's asking for her money.
Yeah.
You have a different measurement. This guy has taken you to a tribunal. Do you go to the tribunals to say this is not the measurement you know? Is there a thing, does it happen?
You know, for us, we always say it very clearly. If 2 people are disputing a measurement, then they are using 2 different, each has theirs, isn't it?
Yes.
The first thing is that the measurement must be on this table for us to discuss it. And it's only on this table if it's approved and verified. Then we can come in to understand if this approved and verified and this approved and verified, what is the issue? But if yours is not approved and verified, you are not on this table.
Okay, we will listen to him more. You know, this is a gentleman you need to know if you are in the sector. Because when you meet her asking for something, this is a guy and your measurements are not correct, then you're in a lot of problems. We'll be going to a question session, and I hope you have a few questions for them. But before we ask the questions, I want you to inspire us. We have been ranked number 4. Is it number 6? And for sure, in the economy in Africa. I think you have some good numbers. Why don't you inspire us? Just 2 minutes to inspire us with is there investment? What investments have been going on in the country? You know, your office is our Red Bull. Yeah? You are the one who can tell us whether you are progressing or not progressing. Tell us something about why you think we have grown to that number and what the contribution.
Thank you. In terms of investment coming to the country, we're not doing that badly. We have specific sectors that we are facilitating, which include energy, which is an enabler to these sectors, manufacturing, ICT, hospitality. So we are getting quite a number of investments coming in. We have close to 14 different projects valued close to 1.4 billion coming in under green investments that we are facilitating, and we should be able to seal some of these deals in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll look at by the end of May, we should be able to have sealed some of these deals. As a country, what we are doing now is target specific investments. And currently, we are mapping local investors. I know you're asking who's an investor. If I may just go back briefly, that all of us are investors. Even James is an investor.
Even me, I'm an investor.
You're a big investor. In consulting, you're a big investor, and we appreciate you.
Oh, okay.
Now, you need to talk to KRA to see if that position is also committed to what you have. Anyway, yes, maybe we can have a discussion of that. The level of facilitation that you require as an investor is where Can Invest comes in. But we all treat our investors equally. And it's good to note that 70% of investors in this country are local. They're local. You know. And to capacitate more locals, we're encouraging more and more joint ventures and partnerships. So for the investments that we're currently working on, there are more of JVs and partnerships. And that includes investments in the counties. We're working very closely with the counties in terms of facilitating the establishment and operationalization, that word, of the county aggregation industrial parks, the CAIPs. We're working very closely with the special economic zones to make sure that we get investments that are geared towards export market and also export processing zones and industrial parks. So, in terms of data, I have to be honest, there's no single institution in this country that will tell you this is the amount of investments we have received. Not even KRA. As a country, we do not have data. And the reason being that, unlike other countries, it's not mandatory for you to register your investment with us. So you can come in, start operating your business, and we don't have a clue that you're in this country.
Okay.
I remember some years back, we were sharing data with KRA, and there was a big variance between those who were registered with Kenya Investment Authority and those who were actually paying taxes. And that's the reason why we have an officer from KRA at Kenya Investment Authority, just to be able to close that gap. Right? One of the things we are discussing right now is how do we work with the various government agencies, private sector organizations, to make sure that we register these investors who are coming to the country. In that case, we'll be able to help where there are challenges.
That's right.
You know, one of the key things in terms of investment promotion, James, everybody in this country is an investment promoter. From the Uber driver who picks the investor from the airport, to the hotel guests, hotel employees, they're all investment facilitators. But the key thing is that do they have information that is correct, accurate, that will assist this investor? So you find most of them, when they have hit a dead end, that's when they remember Kenya Investment Authority exists.
Okay.
But we want to work with the Uber drivers, organize trainings for them, give them basic data, work with the hotels, give them basic data, so that when they're meeting these investors, they're able
to give the story.
Some information.
Very good, very good. You know, that's why, you know, when you look at our books, the country has got 30,000 mortgages, while there are more than 2 million houses owned by people. So, yeah. So, do you have questions? Yeah? Yes.
Yeah, just before they get to the questions, just a critical one, because I know the issue that I've been getting around is the losses. That's the key thing in this sector.
Yes.
The losses.
Yes.
And I have tried to outline how you can mitigate the losses. The issue is accuracy is the key thing.
Yes.
Now, in a sector where the middle center doesn't have approved measuring instruments, you definitely have to have a problem. The depots in this country, not one single of them have an approved metering system. And you remember I talked about the equipment, you will talk to it, then you can agree, let us adjust a bit, then you come up. Approved measuring systems are like children. When you tell them, let's do this, they'll say, Mama alikata. Say mapana. So if you insist, they'll wait for Mama akikuja, then they'll say, so and so had said we do this and I refused. Or so and so said we do this, when I refused, they forced me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the meters which are approved. They will tell on you if you do something funny. But the meters which are not approved, when you come back, it will be as okay as anything else, but something has happened.
Okay. So meters must be, you know, those are the key areas. I work in the energy space and I've seen metering causing a lot of problems. So let's have a round of questions as we close up. It's a very interesting discussion. Yes.
I know we could be having quite a number of questions. We are only pressed for time, but this is such a critical discussion for our industry, and I needed to throw a spanner in the works and see how can weights and measures start talking to KRA. How can you talk to each other and also bring the industry into play? And I'll give you an example. Kenya will lose about losses, just fuel losses. We talk about almost 2% of all the fuel falls under losses. Now, when you look at a vehicle that is leaving the depot, it has a KRA entry. The dealer has paid for 10,000 liters. The KRA entry says 9850. So there's a variance of 150 liters. Then he's told, no, it's because of the temperatures. Tomorrow, the volume will have expanded, and you're probably going to get back your 150 liters. But the person has been invoiced at 10,000. KRA has billed at 9850. We can't really have a temperature variance of 150 liters. And this is happening across the supply chain. So I think if you did your math, money is being lost just because weights and measures are not talking to KRA, or you're not talking to each other, and also advising the industry. You've said that there is no depot. We have 6 depot facilities with various depots. That there's no depot with an approved or with a...
Yeah, sorry. There is only one, I had forgotten. There is only one down in between Mombasa and Nairobi.
Konza.
That's the only one.
Konza is the only depot that has an approved one. Can you imagine? That's a big indictment. Wouldn't you agree, Madam Hakamba? And therefore, I think value is being lost on the tax side. Dealers are losing because you are being invoiced for volumes that you can't be able to sell. So that's one point. Another point, and this is in eTeam's integration, we have over 2,000 stations that are single pumps in this country. Single and maybe 2 pumps. Will those stations also need to be fully automated? Or how do we treat somebody who just has a single pump in this category? So that, I think, is a critical question that I'm even receiving now from my members. And I think they need to hear your voice on that. Having said that, I want to appreciate this panel, a very rich panel that needs to continue, and I implore, because we have several automation companies on this expo, please have a discussion with Weights and Measures, have a discussion with KRA. Because I know we have DFS, we have others, they have automated gate systems, and you know automation cannot be done without inventory being looked at. So there's a chain there that needs to be harmonized. Please, let's have these conversations. I don't want to close people from questions, but I know our time is up and we need to get into the other session. Thank you so much.
I think we'll just take one or two quick questions, but to me, I think I've never sat with Weights and Measures here, and you are very critical. I've not seen you in our electrical sector, but you are very critical in what we are doing. So there's a lot of questions. Me personally, I have more than 10 questions, but I think because of time, we'll take only 2, 3, then you give closing remarks, each one of you. But please, let's interact with them. This is only, we have just touched, you have just scratched. But when you see him and you see KRA here, and one of you is not talking to the system the way John has said, then there's a challenge. So maybe 1 or 2 extra questions and you get closing remarks.
My name is Daniel Kimemia from POAC. My question is about a very dangerous statement that has come from our friend here, that it's only one depot in this country that has certified measurements. So what are you doing about it? Because it means if this, whatever the measurements they have are not accurate, then the customers are losing. And even KRA could also be losing. What are you doing about it? Because I thought you should address that.
Thank you. Any other one question around there? Yes? Quick. Thank you.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Ivan Smayo from NextGen. So I have one question again for Weights and Measures. I'm a distributor of pumps that are approved. And I know that probably in this market there are also pumps that are dispensing out there that are not approved. So I'll also want to know from Wamwana, what is Weights and Measures doing about, do they have a program to check around the country the pumps that are being used to fuel in our stations, if they are really approved by Weights and Measures, just to be sure about their calibration and the way they operate. So
thank you. But I think you have a stand here. Do you have a stand? You have a stand there also. These are very key questions. You have a stand there. Because let me tell you, if you don't measure well, you'll meet her, then you'll have a challenge. So, and he'll ask you whether your measurements, whether they are calibrated. I'm talking from the Kenya Power side of business that I know. Yeah? So, thank you very much. And I will give each 1.5 minute closing remarks as you answer, and I think you are getting the mood of the conference here. Maybe you can just 1.5 minutes as we close here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I have one question from John about us talking to KRA. Yes, we started a conversation at a level. Even the issue of this automation, we are putting in our contribution to be able to make that automation better. You've talked about single points. Those are the things that we'll be able to engage. We are engaging, and especially we are also engaging for the entire chain, because we want to correct the entire system. As we talk about loss, they talk about a bigger loss. if you are not sure what has come in, then how do you tax it? See? And you are not the one who brought in. It's me who brought in. In this case, who is likely to lose? It's you who didn't bring in, isn't it? Yes. So here you can always see that KRA is one of the receiving end. So we have a very deliberate program now to work with KRA to be able to unlock this. You see, you tell KRA, collect taxes. Mm-hmm. So we're saying before they come back and say, now we need to increase the tax, first we exhaust what you have said, collect. And that's what we are assisting them to do.
You have 20 seconds to finish.
So the other one is what we are doing about the depots. When you hear me speak of those numbers, it means we have done surveillance as a first move. We have sat down now to be able to indicate how do we ensure that this chain works well. And so we have told about KPC, which we have worked with so that these people don't point fingers backwards, and now we are coming to the depots so that we are able to handle them.
Thank you. Your last sentence.
Yes. For the unapproved, they are not supposed to be in trade. That's why we make sure that they are approved. Challenges might have come in because of the devolution, where our officers went to the counties and the county management may not understand what they are supposed to do, so they don't facilitate them well to be able to carry out that mandate. We are speaking to the counties also, county management. The only challenge we have is that the turnover, sometimes at that level, is for the those CECs and chief officers, is so high. You have them in the meeting today, tomorrow is in agriculture.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So, I think sometimes when you fuel your car, the gauge doesn't move. Another petrol station, the gauge moves. Yeah, so I think that's an issue. What's your inspiring message to the investors that the machines that are here, should they go back with them, or you'll give them a plot somewhere they start?
They're already here. Kenya is a very good country to invest in.
Thank you.
It's one of the few countries that you are assured on return on your investment. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of physical and non-physical incentives for investors, and especially in this subsector. Our location is favorable. Our infrastructure, the port of Mombasa, we are building Lamu. The national carrier is able to fly you to various destinations that you want to go. But most critically, we have trainable labor. Kenyans are very adaptive to different techs. We have a group of Gen Zs that are extremely good at their work. James, I have colleagues and they're here seated next to me. I learn a lot from them. You know. And the people that are going to drive this industry. So, when you're in this country, you are assured of making profits. You are assured of having a stable investment climate. Now, I mentioned that we are looking at various subsectors. And from this conversation, I want to assure Njogu that we'll sit down with all stakeholders, private and public. Bring KRA together. We are the voice of the private sector. So we'll bring these guys together. Let's look at how are we able to efficiently support these investors to invest more in this country and not to look at other investment destinations.
True. Good. And my friend from KRA.
Yes, thank you. So in way of closing remarks and also responding to the question that was asked, we know that we all get into business not for fulfilling government requirements. You're getting into business to make money, and to ensure that you give efficient service delivery to your customers. That's your main goal. But government normally comes along the way, you have seen, with various requirements. So as from a KRA perspective, especially for the question for the small business owners in the fuel sector, we are always open for engagement, because right now the prescribed solution for the fuel sector is the E-Teams fuel system, the solution. However, if someone falls out of this scope for one reason or the other, we invite them to come to the table. We get to understand what kind of situation or circumstances they are facing. Remember, E-Teams was introduced on a premise of flexibility. So flexibility means understanding your business environment and being able to identify which solution really fits your business environment. Just taking into consideration, the main solution right now for the fuel sector is the one I was talking about. But in the event someone is not fitting in that category, we are open for collaboration. Same with the other government organization. I always say there's always an opportunity to interact with our peers to see what we can leverage on to give better government services to our taxpayers. Just to close also, I've just introduced the subject. My team is available at the booth. Please visit our booth. You get more information. You get information on how to go about you being able to comply with the requirements that are in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let us clap for the panel. Let me give you an example as we close. 3 years ago, when we were trying to put a chip factory here in Kenya, tulizunguka, and you know, there's a small clause in the budget of 2019 that exempted chips from tax. You see that, not reading those finer details. So we were crying all over about taxation, yet it was just to take to the Ministry of Finance to start implementing that, so that those chips can come in without paying VAT. So there is a lot in government, and don't go and sit, and don't use a lot of brokers like us. Just come to and sit down with these gentlemen and ladies in their offices and with their teams, and you'll be able to get a first-hand solution to any challenges and how to invest and how to put KRA. You can be told where to go invest, where there is less tax, I think. There are places where to encourage, right? Still taxation where there is very little taxation, corporate tax, the SEC zones and all that. So with those remarks, gentlemen, ladies, let's clap for them again. And also clap for me also. Thank you. Let me take a photo. Yeah, take a photo here.